We took a look into the Games and Experimental Entertainment Laboratory, or the GEELAB, located in Melbourne CBD. The GEELAB is the latest addition to significant research and development investment in games at RMIT University in Australia and Europe. The GEELAB is a creative think and design area for games and entertainment. The aim of the lab is to network, gamify, contextualize and mobilize experiences to the next generation of digital entertainment. We spoke to two members of the lab, Lauren Ferro, a GEELAB coordinator and doctoral researcher, and Fatma Al-Amri, a researcher, educator and multimedia designer who have been researching and developing gamified education tools.
I think at the moment there is a big, well, not so much a big, but there is a bit of a block between the way that academics perceive educational games and the way that they're trying to integrate them. And I think that a lot of academics, like teachers, they perceive that, games that teach people are not really games, they're more of this, just this play thing, and that when students are interacting and engaging with them, it's more of, fun time rather than the learning. And I think that what needs to be done is that teachers develop an understanding and, that you can actually learn things through this interaction and that you can consolidate skills. It's not just, you can't just hand them a textbook anymore and just expect them to, digest all this information. It's more of an interaction thing.
We asked Lauren about a game that she's been developing.
The game that I developed was last year, and it was a game to teach students the basics of trigonometry. It was a 2D game, and it involves the player using a little character who is representative of a math teacher and interacting with the world to solve various problems by clicking on different triangles and the different sides and the ratios, so that they could consolidate their understanding of the sides of the triangle, what their names were, and the relationship between the angle. Well, what prompted the development was that when I was in high school myself, I found that a lot of people had a lot of trouble remembering the ratios, remembering the order of operations when it came to doing problems and solving equations. And I thought, well, the best way to, consolidate understanding was actually have people physically interacting with, these sides, with these angles, so that they could develop a more solid understanding and that they could remember and associate, like with this game, those sides of the triangle and the angles. At the moment, it's still in alpha stage, so it's completed, and we've just had preliminary tests with people. But the response that I've got is that it's been a very good way to demonstrate the basics of trigonometry, and that at the moment they need a lot more feedback, so that reinforcement that what they're doing is the correct, the interaction is the correct way, that they're clicking on the right sides. But other than that, the users that I've shown the game to and the academics have really liked the concept, and that they see the potential that these games can offer. I think that the difference is definitely the interaction with the way that current people experience and learn through, the whole didactic, teacher says something, learner just sort of repeats and reiterates what they've done. The student can actually interact, and they can learn through trial and error, and they can learn that, if they do something wrong, then they can sort of review what they've done and understand, and sort of when they go to apply, their knowledge again, they have a better understanding of it. And I think that's, especially now with the way that, technology is such an integrated thing into, students' lives, that this form of interaction with digital media is very important for the way that they are able to learn and consolidate their skills. At the moment, I'm doing my PhD research, and I'm investigating the relationship between learning, so the way that we learn, are we a visual learner, are we an oral learner, are we a tactile learner, and the relationship that has between the way that we play and the way that we engage and interact with different scenarios and situations in the virtual world. And then I'm looking at that in respect to the way that we're motivated to pursue certain tasks, to interact with them and have that prolonged interaction. And I'm hoping that this will better inform gameful technologies, gamified educational content, and that there is more of a personalised development process rather than just this, we'll add a badge or we'll add an achievement system because it will make it fun, where necessarily that's just sugarcoating something that's just boring and mundane.
We also spoke to Fatma, who is making educational games to teach people literacy skills in Oman.
Okay, so my name is Fatma. I'm from Oman. That's a country in the Middle East, and I'm doing my PhD at RMIT GEELAB, and this is my second year. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to motivate kids back home to read for pleasure, and to do that, I'm developing an app for children to read, and that app contains stories that children can go through them, read them, and play mini games inside these stories. They have to complete these quests and mini games in order to finish the story and get the reward. And the reward is actually making a new story out of the original story. And then after they do that, they can share stories with other friends online. I think gamifying education motivates children to learn. It makes it more enjoyable. It encourages them to work together, to discover new things, and it also helps them to understand education more, or various subjects in education. For me, because I'm doing something for the Middle East, for my country, the first disadvantage is technology, because I want to try to use the iPad, and the iPad is not distributed that much in Oman. Also, the internet is not as strong as it's in Western countries, so we have technology disadvantage. Other than that, as Lauren said, we also have the teachers' mindset, because they come from older generation and they don't believe in everything that we do right now. So some of them will not agree with the idea of using games to motivate children to read or to learn.
The death of traditional modes of teaching has been discussed fervently in recent years. With rapidly changing technologies making their way into teaching methods, it seems inevitable that there must be a redevelopment of the way in which education approaches the classroom, with the students being more tech-savvy and consequently responding to these modes of learning. The reality is that the computer age is here. We asked Lauren and Fatma what the gamification of education means for the traditional classroom.
I think it'd be the innovation of the classroom. We're not going to get rid of the classrooms. I think they're going to be around for a long time, at least.
But the style and the method to teach will change.
Yeah.
Of course it will change, and those teachers will change anyways. So, I think
the generations change.
I think we will see more games in schools.
Yeah.